A must-see series.
Well, She-Hulk's off to a good start, isn't it? You can always tell a winner when they base their marketing around tactics from Captain Marvel. But She-Hulk might be perfect for you if your only bar of quality is whether the people making it have their reproductive organs on the inside. Because this is a show that centers on female characters and women behind the camera as well. In fact, it's predominantly led by them, because that's how life is. And I only have one question. What happens on a set and a show which is almost entirely female?
There was a lot of eating. There was a lot of food.
Yeah, could have seen that one coming. But She-Hulk is a comedy, as you can tell, as this comedy is going to be told through a female lens. And I think we've already seen what that looks like through the trailer.
Girl, your ass looks crazy right now.
Genius. You know you're onto a winning character when the show has to tell you that you're going to like them. But this was the She-Hulk panel at SDCC giving an interview to Entertainment Weekly, and they really know what Marvel fans want in a TV series.
This is the show of legal paperwork, which we knew is what the MCU fans were screaming for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. When you know you've got a dud on your hands and the only thing you can do is try and sell it, obviously, this is the exact crew of salespeople you would send into the lion's den.
So what happens on a regular Tuesday when you just have to do laundry? That's really kind of the slice of life that this show kind of explores.
Normally you just put it in the machine and push a button. If that's too much effort, I don't know how you made a TV series between you.
It's a half-hour comedy, which isn't something we've necessarily seen from Marvel before.
To be fair, Taika Waititi did try it with Thor. It's just that guy's about as funny as an aneurysm.
What you least expect that you're going to want to see is Thor going through a midlife crisis.
Okay, cool.
Now, admittedly, one of them does come from a comedy background.
I had a very specific idea of the tone that I wanted for the show, having come from comedy and balance, comedy, also very meta and self-aware.
The meta here seems to be me finding it funny for all of the wrong reasons. Because, well, the trailer showed a She-Hulk that was just able to dominate the Hulk easily in every single way, shape, and form. It's when you hear the director talk in interviews that the car really just dives over the cliff into the depths of hell.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Something we always talked about was inclusion. Now, comic books have always been told through the sight of the dangly bits, and we wanted to see what it's like for those without dangly bits. And how do we create this from our point of view? One of the great things about modern Marvel is they've discovered how you can have inclusion by just excluding everybody we don't like. Because this is a show of wish fulfillment. Wishes such as getting to see her walk down a dark alley. It was something every single non-dangly bit can relate to. How exciting would it be to walk home in the dark and not worry? This is a show where you get to do laundry and walk home in the dark. I can't wait for it. I'm so excited. But also, who do you think doesn't worry? I think it's pretty unique that only a group of non-dangly bits could have brought to this, among other more nuanced things as well. Seriously, the only unique and nuanced point of view you've brought to this is delusion.
Don't worry, dangly bits don't need to worry about that, despite the fact that they're statistically most likely to be attacked.
This is wish fulfillment. We don't want to get bogged down in any of those pesky facts. Or indeed seemingly normal social interaction, considering we talked a lot about how those with internalized organs feel the need to be polite. If some guy comes up to you in a bar, it's obviously what he wants, but you don't want to offend him because you're afraid of being rude. As you should, because it's called common human decency and caring about somebody else's feelings. But this show is about wish fulfillment, and that means that Jennifer Walters has the new part of herself that doesn't have to temper that and doesn't have to put up with that if she doesn't want to. This show seems to answer the question, what would you be if you could be a superhero? And she answered, I'd just like to be an arsehole. But the Hulk has always been a fascinating exploration of rage. And yes, it's essentially looking at to be a man is to have the capacity for violence while also requiring to keep it under control when it's not required. That is how the human race has survived, in that there's always been people there to defend it. But they say that the exploration of rage obviously takes on a much different meaning when centered around someone who doesn't have any dangly bits. I think we can both agree that rage from fallopian tubes is much less accepted than those of the dangly bits. The level of anger that is accepted by society is different between the two. And absolutely it is, in almost the exact opposite way than I think you're going to suggest. And I can prove it to you. Get someone with dangly bits and someone without dangly bits to walk into a public place and go at it, and see which one gets the public to intervene first. Because I guarantee you, one will have people laughing and cheering, and the other will have people breaking them up. And the one breaking them up won't be She-Hulk. So how is She-Hulk perceived when she's at rage level 5 compared to a dangly bits 10? Well, she could be at rage level 100 compared to his 10, and people would still be laughing. But I have a feeling that's not the perception that you're going to be showing in the show, is it? And that's why writing something in a TV show doesn't make it true. It's not you exploring something. literally just you making up your own fantasy world. But don't worry, because I made a Hulk video before and I had loads of people going, no, She-Hulk won't be better than him. You're just looking at the trailer wrong. Oh, you're so cynical. And I'm like, oh, am I? Or is it that's just that I've seen this before and Hollywood is extremely predictable because they've only made one story for the last 6 years? I think it's the latter, because Bruce and Jennifer's dynamic is honestly one of my favourite parts of the series. This is a very personal journey, and he is a predisposed idea that her experience is going to be exactly the same as his, and that he has a lot to teach her. Obviously, he should have known that he has absolutely nothing to teach her despite his years of experience, for he has underestimated the power of the fallopian tubes, because very quickly it becomes clear that her experience is going to be very different, both physically, literally, and mentally. Because how they've operated differently in the world. I love watching Bruce get completely thrown off his game of thinking that he's the teacher and realizing that very quickly she has things to teach him. If only the men of the world would shut up and listen. Oh, they'd have so much to learn. I am a person who finds it difficult to do laundry on a Tuesday, but I can teach the world. But never fear, Mark Ruffalo is here. He's had an extra shot of wheatgrass in his latte this morning and he is ready to learn. Mark was like, wow, she is amazing, and she's bringing all of these new levels to Hulk. I have been playing Hulk for years, and only now have I realized that actually I'm terrible at acting. And all it took was me to listen. And if I haven't sold you the show yet, if you don't think this is going to be a piece of entertainment masterpiece, then I have got one more thing that you will not be able to resist. Because all of the trailers so far released have focused on Jennifer's dating life. What are we going to see from her in this aspect of the show? Part of the discussion was that we wanted her to be a large 6'7" green woman. And obviously, because there are women who are 6'7", that means she's still within the realm of reality. So her dating life is definitely complicated by being a superhero, but very grounded. That was what we always wanted. What does it mean to be a 6'7" green woman in your 30s dating in Los Angeles? It's very relatable. Whether you're 6'7", or green, or just a woman, that's what we kept coming back to. How do we tell a story that any woman who's ever gone on a date will relate to in some way or another? That's what I want from my superhero shows. I want discussions about who should pay for dinner. And I'm not just making that up, no. This show will answer questions about Marvel superheroes. Questions like, how does she dress? How does she go on a date? What's her apartment like? Honestly, I can barely contain my excitement. And I can just feel my sense of pride and joy overflowing. And that there is definitely a second season of She-Hulk on the cards. This season, laundry. Next season, ironing. It's going to be a cinematic masterpiece. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. Mark Ruffalo appears in this, and it couldn't be better for his career than be attached to something which is going to be so astronomically awful as this show. Oh, you haven't seen it? It's not out yet. Well, I was right about the trailer, and I'm right about the interview. So let's see who's going to be right about the next thing when it releases, shall we? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe a show about the size of someone's apartment and them doing the laundry is actually going to be a comedic masterpiece worthy of the ages and passed down from generation to generation. Maybe I'll tape coupling and throw my DVDs out the window as this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Or maybe, just maybe, after the comedy that Marvel has pumped out time and time again, we've seen it all before, and what we saw didn't make us laugh the first time, so it's definitely not going to make us laugh the second. I don't know, I think I'm right, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.